We are jumping into a deep dive today on a book that, well, it fundamentally changed how we talk about political control. George Orwell's 1984. And we're not just here for a plot summary. Our mission is to really peel back the layers of the source text, to extract the most potent insights, and get into the guts of how the party and Big Brother work.
And you can't really get it without understanding the man who wrote it, Eric Arthur Blair Orwell. His background is just so crucial.
Right.
He served in the Indian Imperial Police.
Yeah.
And he came to despise imperialism. But the real crucible for him was the Spanish Civil War.
That's where he saw the ugliness up close.
Exactly. He saw the communist purges firsthand, and it made him a lifelong anti-Stalinist. But, and this is the key, he was still a firm believer in what he called democratic socialism. So he'd seen the worst of both sides.
And 1984, published in 1949, was the result. Not a prediction, you'd say, but more of a warning.
Built on things he'd actually observed.
That context is so important because when you drop into Oceania, it's not just politically oppressive. The whole world feels physically worn out. Let's start there with the atmosphere in part one, seen through Winston Smith.
Yeah, he's 39, but he feels ancient. He's got this varicose ulcer that's always bothering him.
And the first thing you get is the sensory details. His building, Victory Mansion, smells of boiled cabbage and old rag mats.
It's the smell of managed decay, of scarcity. The power is even shut off during the day to save energy for heat week.
And the clock strike 13. I mean, right away, you know that the basic laws of reality don't apply here.
Nothing is objective. And that's hammered home by the telescreen in every room, watching and listening, always on. But the real masterstroke is that poster.
Big Brother is watching you.
Everywhere. On coins, on posters. That face, those eyes that seem to follow you. It's this constant psychological pressure.
It must be just absolutely exhausting. And speaking of psychological pressure, the government itself, the ministries, their names are a perfect example of this.
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate expression of power. The Ministry of Peace runs the war.
The Ministry of Truth pumps out lies.
The Ministry of Love is for torture, and the Ministry of Plenty oversees starvation. It's deliberate.
It feels like more than just hypocrisy, doesn't it? It's like a dare. It forces you to accept that the state defines reality no matter what your own eyes tell you.
It is. That's the exercise. It's the foundation of doublethink, which we'll get to. It's a way to maintain this state of controlled insanity, especially for the people at the top who have to manage it all.
All that pressure has to go somewhere. And this is maybe the most chilling part for me. The way they weaponize children. The spies. The youth league.
It's monstrous. The text says children are systematically turned to ungovernable little savages, but all that savage energy is pointed outward at the state's enemies.
And at their own parents. It destroys the family, the last private space.
People over 30 are genuinely terrified of their own children. We see it with the Parsons family. Their kids are upset they missed a public hanging.
And if your kid turns you in, they're called a child hero. Just unbelievable.
The party replaces that natural family loyalty with this hysterical, absolute loyalty to Big Brother. And all that pent-up hate needs an outlet.
Which brings us to the 2 minutes hate.
The psychological safety valve.
It's described with such intensity. This image of Emmanuel Goldstein, the enemy of the people, flashes on screen and the crowd just erupts into this hideous ecstasy of fear and vindictiveness.
Even Winston, who hates the party, gets swept up in it. This desire to kill, to torture, it's a collective purge.
And right after that frenzy, you see the 3 party slogans on the wall in huge letters.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
They aren't just mottos. They're the operating system.
Exactly.
Let's get into Winston's job then, because it shows how that system works in practice. He works at the Ministry of Truth in RecDep, the records department.
Right, and his title is Rectifier.
Yeah.
His entire life is spent destroying the past. He changes old news reports, production figures.
There's that incredible example of the chocolate ration. It gets reduced from 30 grams to 20.
And his job is to go back and change the record. So it looks like the ration was increased to 20. And everyone is expected to just swallow it instantly. Forget they ever knew anything different.
He even invents a person from whole cloth, Comrade Ogilvy, this war hero who never existed.
And the book sums it up so perfectly. The past was erased, the erasure was forgotten, the lie became truth.
If there's no external record, no objective history to check against, then the party is always right, by definition.
It's the ultimate control. And that's why language itself has to be controlled. Which, of course, brings us to Newspeak.
Newspeak is just. It's a terrifying concept.
Because its purpose isn't just to provide a way to express the party's worldview, but to make all other ways of thought impossible.
By shrinking the language.
Every year, the vocabulary gets smaller. The goal is to make thought crime literally impossible by around 2050, because the words to have a rebellious thought won't exist anymore.
The word free is a great example. It's only allowed to exist in the sense of, like, this dog is free from lice.
All the other meanings, all the concepts of political or intellectual freedom have been purged.
And to live in that world, you need a specific mental tool.
You need doublethink. It's the ability to hold two contradictory beliefs in your mind at the same time and accept both of them.
To know the war news is a lie, but to also believe, truly believe, that the war is real and Oshana is winning.
It's a splitting of the intelligence, as Orwell puts it, and the most skilled at it are the inner party members, who know the whole system is a fraud, but are also the most fanatical believers.
It's a kind of conscious self-deception.
It's meant to become automatic. There's even a newspeak word for it, duckspeak. To quack like a duck. If what you're cracking is orthodox, it's considered high praise. The goal is speech that's completely independent of consciousness.
And any failure of that automatic orthodoxy is the ultimate crime. Thought crime?
Winston knows from the moment he starts his diary, he's a dead man. Thought crime is death.
And it's not just what you think, it's how you look. The telescreen can pick up a nervous asantatikic, a flicker of anxiety.
And that's face crime, also punishable by death. Total control, inside and out.
So Winston's rebellion, his doomed rebellion, it starts as this search for a connection to a real past. He goes to the proles, the masses.
And it's just tragic. He talks to an old man in a pub, hoping for some great insight into the time before the revolution.
And all the old guy can remember is arguing about whether beer was served in pints or half liters. Useless details.
Which is exactly why the party leaves them alone. That slogan, proles and animals are free.
It's so cynical. They're free because they're not conscious. They're not a political threat.
And then, of course, he finds Julia.
The girl from the fiction department. Their affair is an act of rebellion, but she's not an intellectual. She's pragmatic.
Totally. Her philosophy is basically, always yell with the crowd. That's what I say. It's the only way to be safe. She hates the party, but she's a survivor.
But she has this really sharp insight into the party's sexual puritanism.
Yes. She gets that it's not about morality. It's about energy. The party wants to bottle up all that frustrated sexual energy.
And turn it into war fever and leader worship. It's fuel for the state.
Exactly.
And this desire for a private life leads them to that little room above Mr. Charrington's junk shop. No telescreen. Their little sanctuary.
Where they can have real coffee, real chocolate, inner party goods. For a moment, they think they've carved out a piece of the past for themselves.
And it's there that Winston gets the book. O'Brien gives him a copy of Emmanuel Goldstein's The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism.
Which is really the philosophical core of the novel. It just lays the whole strategy of the party bare.
Starting with the real meaning behind ignorance is strength.
Right. Goldstein's book explains that history is a cycle of three groups. The high, the middle, and the low. The middle always overthrows the high with help from the low and then becomes the new high. The goal of the party is to freeze that cycle, to keep the high in power forever.
By keeping the masses ignorant and the outer party in a state of controlled insanity.
And then there's war as peace. The three superstates, Oceania, Eurasia, Eastasia, they're not really trying to conquer each other.
No, the book says the war is an imposture. It's a war waged by each ruling group against its own subjects.
The point of the war is to constantly use up surplus goods. If people get too comfortable, they get too smart. The war keeps them poor, scared, and full of hatred for the enemy. It justifies the party's entire existence. The three states are actually propping each other up.
That brief moment of understanding is, of course, the end. They're caught in the room.
The trap springs. And the ultimate betrayal is that Mr. Charrington, the kindly old shopkeeper.
He's a member of the thought police. He even finishes the nursery rhyme they loved. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Chillin'.
And that's when Winston's journey into the Ministry of Love begins. And O'Brien is there, not as a friend, but as his torturer, his converter.
O'Brien explains that this isn't about punishment. It's about re-education, curing him. He points to earlier traders like Jones, Aronson, and Rutherford. They were broken until all they felt was love for Big Brother.
And this is where we get the party's ultimate philosophy. O'Brien says they control reality itself. Nothing exists except through human consciousness. He calls it collective solipsism.
So if the party says 2 + 2 = 5, then it does.
It does, because there's no external reality to check against anymore. But he says power isn't really over things. It's over men. And you get power over another person by making them suffer.
And it's not enough to just obey. You have to be converted. O'Brien says the old despotisms commanded, thou shalt not. The totalitarians said, thou shalt. But the party's command is, thou art.
You are what we say you are. You have to believe it heart and soul before they'll kill you.
Winston holds out for so long, believing they can't get inside his head, that his inner heart is his own.
Until Room 101, where you're faced with the worst thing in the world. For Winston, it's rats. And faced with that absolute terror, he breaks. He screams, do it to Julia, not me.
And in that moment, the party wins. They got inside him.
They destroyed that last piece of primitive, selfless loyalty. The human spirit wasn't inviolable after all.
After that, he's cured, he's rehabilitated, he gets fatter, they give him new teeth, he accepts that sanity was statistical. If everyone believes a lie, then it's not a lie anymore.
In that last scene, in the Chestnut Tree Cafe, he sees Julia again. They both admit they betrayed each other. There's nothing left between them.
He's just drinking victory gin, waiting for a war update, and when he hears of a great victory, this feeling washes over him. The struggle was finished.
He loved Big Brother.
So when we pull back from this deep dive, the source text gives us this terrifyingly clear blueprint for how absolute power functions. I think there are three major takeaways for you, our listener.
First, control the language. With Newspeak, if you shrink the vocabulary, you shrink the range of thought. It's that simple.
Second, control the past. If you're constantly falsifying the record, as Winston did, you destroy any external standard for truth. You control memory, you control everything.
And finally, and maybe most importantly, control human nature. You have to destroy private loyalties, love for a partner, for family, and you channel all that energy into state-sponsored hatred. You make people malleable.
We saw Winston cling to this idea, this hope that the inner heart, the spirit of man, was fundamentally untouchable even as his body was being broken. O'Brien and the party's entire project was to prove that that wasn't true, that thou art completely malleable. So given that they broke his final loyalty, his love for Julia, what does the text really suggest? Is the end of 1984 proof that the human spirit just can't stand up to that kind of systematic, total pressure? Or is the real terror that it's entirely conquerable? That's something for you to mull over.